We are trying and intend on achieving our goal of dismantling and destroying Hamas as a governing authority and making sure that they never have the power of government to conduct any more attacks against us ever again.
First of all, what is your reaction to this news that has just broken about this attack on a school and reports that at least 50 people have been killed at this UN-run school?
Aisha, we just, as you said, it's breaking news. We're looking into it. We've seen the reports. I'd be very cautious in accepting anything that Hamas determines is a fact. So we are looking into it. I can't confirm that this is an Israeli strike at this time. As soon as we have something we can say about this incident, we will say it. Of course, the images are terrifying.
And look, is a school, in your view, would that be normal in terms of a strike?
So there's lots of abnormal situations that we've seen throughout this war in the last 6 weeks. Hamas is using schools, Hamas is using mosques, Hamas is using medical facilities, Hamas is using hospitals. So I could not say that this is a target, and I would not say that this is a target. And of course, we're doing everything we can in order to differentiate and distinguish from the civilians and Hamas. But it is a huge challenge. This is the reality of urban warfare in these days. And this is the reality when we face a terrorist organization like Hamas that has become 16 years ago a terrorist government that has utilized all of the tools of government to build its infrastructure, to embed itself deeply within the civilian arena, putting everybody's lives at risk. This is the challenge today we are facing as we are trying and intend on achieving our goal of dismantling and destroying Hamas as a governing authority and making sure that they never have the power of government to conduct any more attacks against us ever again.
And I think that is an ambition that most normal people, and certainly most of my listeners, would agree with. I think the anxiety that a lot of people have who are very much standing in solidarity with Israel and absolutely abhor what happened, the horribleness of what happened on the 7th of October. I think the anxiety that a lot of people have is that, is it going to be possible for you guys to do that? And if the retaliation is so disproportionate, are you then going to breed in another generation of radicalized views against Israel?
So I certainly hope not. Obviously, it's we are as concerned as a professional military of the core issues of urban warfare. And distinguishing civilians from terrorists or non-combatants from terrorists is a core issue. Military necessity. So behind every strike, there needs to be a military necessity. And then we need to weigh up on the proportionality between those two issues. I would say, though, that like your listeners, we are also concerned of this because we are not targeting civilians, and civilians can get caught up in, unfortunately, in conflict precisely because of how Hamas are operating. This is the current situation 6 weeks in. We have, over the course of the last 6 weeks, called extensively on the population to evacuate areas where we knew we were going to operate, like the al-Shifa hospital. When we are calling people to leave, it's precisely because we know where Hamas have embedded themselves based on our intelligence, based on our knowledge, based on multiple sources, but based on what the Americans have said as well.
Okay.
We know they are there, and that's why we want to get people out of harm's way. It only serves Hamas to keep them in harm's way, and that's why they've been preventing them, discouraging them, intimidating people to stay put, and even in some cases erected checkpoints. This is the
okay, but
reality of this conflict.
I mean, when we've been looking at the reporting around the al-Shifa hospital, there have been some concerns that the evidence that the IDF has produced has fallen short of establishing the fact that al-Shifa is a major Hamas HQ.
Well, obviously, I don't agree with that. I understand I would say the pressure that the media are asking and demanding questions, demanding the answers immediately. And I respect your job and your role as to inquire and ask, when are we going to see? And I would say we are exposing every day, layer after layer, more and more of Hamas's military infrastructure within the hospital grounds. We've revealed the weapons that we found just on the surface, and we are discovering what is beneath the surface day by day. There are two things that concern us when operating within the grounds of the compound of al-Shifa Hospital. First of all, the people that remain there despite our instructions or requests that they leave. We are giving them food, water, medical supplies, maintaining open communications with the administration of the hospital in order to see if there's anything else that can come in or is required.
Peter, just to
cut the fact that they've stayed in the war zone. And the second thing is the forces security. We don't want to send our soldiers down into a tunnel that may be booby-trapped or may collapse on them. There are other considerations rather than just answering the immediate need of everybody to say, show us where it is.
Okay. Look, in terms of the aid, I mean, there has been a lot of criticism that enough aid has not been getting through. The World Food Programme has said that, it's just not enough. I mean, isn't there an argument for the IDF to let more aid in, which could be managed by the IDF? It could be managed with the many aid agencies on the ground to make sure that some essential food, water, medical supplies are getting through to these innocent Gazan civilians. You said yourself you're not wanting to target them. Why can't some arrangements be made to let more aid in and manage more aid getting in?
We are increasing every day the amount of food trucks, the supplies, the medical supplies, the shelter that is coming in every single day. The Israeli government has approved the flow of fuel for specific needs for the humanitarian mission, specifically to enable food distribution, to enable the unloading of trucks in the south of Gaza Strip. I would say our humanitarian mission goes hand in hand with the operational mission. They complement one another, but there needs to be a very clear understanding that the end game of this is Hamas no longer holds the power of government. We can't not operate because of the situation on the ground. We need to ensure that the situation is sustainable, that the situation is bearable, that there is enough food coming in, that there is enough water. Israel is supplying water into Gaza Strip. The problem is that the pumps on the Gazan side haven't got enough fuel because Hamas is taking the fuel to give them ventilation in the tunnels where they're hiding.
Well, I mean, clearly that something is going very wrong in that situation, because a lot of aid is not getting through to people. I've got two more questions I want to put to you before the end of this interview. Just what is the situation in the south of the territory? Because dozens have been reported killed in an airstrike near Khan Yunis. Where are the safe areas for civilians who were already told to move south? And what is the guarantee that they will be safe?
So we've been encouraging people to go specifically in the south to the Mawasi area. The Mawasi area is an area on the coast and southwest of the Gaza Strip. It's safer around there. It's less inhabited. Hamas are less set up there. That is where we've been telling people for weeks to go. Of course, there is places that people have gone in other areas, which is a challenge because Hamas are still operating. Because we focus very extensively on Hamas's center of gravity in the area of Gaza City and the government offices and institutions and around the al-Shifa area, in order to dismantle and destroy their capabilities on one hand and pursue our efforts in order to retrieve and bring home the hostages. So, of course, Hamas are even today firing rockets at us from southern Gaza Strip.
Okay.
So when we are identifying that they are planning, colluding, or even organizing more attacks against Israel, then we're going to strike them. This is the reality. Okay.
And final question, and it's been really interesting, really good to have you on. Thank you for your time. This is a question from one of my listeners, Peter Scott. He says, I passionately support Israel's right to move against Hamas, but the suffering of ordinary people in Gaza is now utterly unimaginable. The images of those poor babies and children is heartbreaking. There has got to be another way of doing this. What would you say to my listener, who, again, very, very supportive of Israel?
So thank you, Peter, for your support. And it's not only an issue of support, it's also an understanding that there really are no alternatives. The alternative is to leave Hamas in power, in control. We have to do our best in order to mitigate, in order to prevent civilian casualties in this war. We need to do that. We need to get people out of harm's way. We need the international community to support that effort. But it needs to be a very, very clear message of the world to Hamas. You need to go. You need to, I mean, I'd say quite honestly, this isn't an official policy, of course, but if Hamas were to surrender and bring back all the hostages, it could be over, couldn't it?